Welcome back to A Touch of Blue Studio, where you're invited to join me today with Drawing with Grandma. Welcome back to my studio for another drawing demonstration. We're going to start today's lesson with a little bird, and I'm starting first with the oval head shape and then developing the body shape, which is another large oval. And then you want to develop, of course, the larger shapes of the feathers and the wings, and then that long tail that extends out like a triangle. I like to start right away after I've got the basic shapes into developing the unique forms that are on the bird, because they take a little time, and I want to be sure before I get too much drawing done that I have them accurately placed. So I'm getting the patterns correct on those top wings, some dark and light strokes to make sure that I've got some good strong lines in there. And then I'm ready to add more detail to this little head, and placing the eye is helpful as I shape the head and then as I get the beak established. Birds have so many unique qualities, but so many birds have different size of beaks and shapes, and so it's really important to study the photo that you're using of a bird and just find out what unique qualities that particular one has. This little guy has almost like a little helmet on his head. His head's really dark, and so I'm going to shade in a darker value, and then as I'm working, I'm going to keep my lines going the direction that his feathers would actually lay. So I want to have it help with that illusion of the form of his head. The back of his head has some shadow. He has this little patch right under his eye like a little mask. So he's really, really beautiful. I want to do some feathery strokes and then try to develop this foot, which is a little challenging, but we'll get it correct. So I'm going to get that bottom shape of his wing and his underbelly, and then I'm going to start developing his foot and trying to get some of those patterns in correctly, and really working on my pencil strokes. Now I'm trying to get this foot in. It's a little tricky, and we're looking down on him a little bit, so this foot is a little bit easier. The other one, it's going to peek out from behind his belly, and I think that'll do it. Now let's get some final touches on him and get the dark patches of that tail, the unique lines that we see, kind of fans out. His eye, I think, is a little bit bigger. I'm going to adjust that a little bit and then emphasize that little mask around his eye and the dark strokes, along with some little feathery marks. The eraser is really helpful just to get those lights out. I'm going to put a little shadow under him. The light is coming from the top. So we want to create a little bit of shadow and then re-emphasize the edges of his foot. And yeah, so I think we've got a little sketch here that'll do. This one we might come back to and do some watercolor wash over during our next lesson. But thank you for watching this demonstration. We are going to continue our demonstration today with a drawing of a fawn. I took a photograph of a fawn when I was at a petting zoo with my daughter when she was young. And so I've drawn this fawn several times, and he's just really beautiful. I think I made that ear a little big. But I'm starting, of course, with the head shape and developing the unique position of it. We're looking kind of at an unusual angle, but getting the eyes placed, making any corrections on the unique shape of the head takes a little bit of time, and getting that ear shape and corrected is important. But I think we're getting there. I just wanted to make a few more changes before I move on to the body and to the details. But I'm going to begin placing his legs. He's in a seated position and his legs are tucked under his body, so I want to be sure that they are correctly placed and spaced in relation to one another. He's got a cute little tail, and he's got spots on the back of him, so I want to develop the dark patches that are unique to the fawn here, position those correctly. And once I get all of those parts together, then I can move forward with the details and the shading and getting the texture of his hair. So I think I'm ready to do that. I think I've got him positioned the way I want and him correctly drawn. So here we go. We're going to develop the details now and make sure his eye is big enough, that the patches on his head are dark enough, and that we can shape those ears correctly too. I think that eye needs a little correction, so I will come back to that in a minute. He's got a cute little chin, and so my strokes need to be flowing along with the texture of the hair that I want to create. I want to emphasize the separation between the legs and any cast shadows. So I wanted to put a cast shadow under his tail where the light isn't hitting, and to work on finalizing the overall layout sketch. Cute little spots, shading. Just a few more corrections on his head and his chin. I think I got that a little big. A little bit of highlights too I want to focus on. Okay, I'm going to develop the background now. So I'm thinking that it might be fun actually to lay in the whole background darker. So I'm thinking that we might take that step. But let me finish him up a little bit and get the hair and the brown tones on him. Okay, I think we've got him the way we want, so I'll be right back to show you the background. Okay, so I have laid in a dark background. I taped down an edge so that we can have a nice clean border when we're finished with this sketch. I'm using my eraser now to clean out any white patches on his fur that I want emphasized and little edges of hairs sticking up. So that's good. And some foreground here, a little bit of ground plane. And then I'm going to take off this tape and we'll have a little bit of an edge there. Okay. All right, some final touches and then we'll call it a day. I hope you have enjoyed this demonstration and we'll give this little fawn a try. Thank you for joining me with Drawing with Grandma at A Touch of Blue Studio.